We live. We lit. Faise Young. We already took over the game already. Y'all just ain't figured it out. Let's roll that intro, y'all. And we ain't ego tripping.
Young L.
And the ancestors are looking out for us. God Hayes is exposing them, man.
Okay, you see that chair right there? See how big it is?
Yeah.
Now look at the Pope chair under it. Scroll down, look at the Pope chair under
Never have it been made so clear.
Young TV. Young.
We running the game right now.
Young TV.
Time to take over.
Young
We the hottest in the game. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button. If you just not tuned in.
TV.
Share, like on your Instagram, Facebook.
Young TV.
If you tuned in, we broadcasting live from 2030, baby.
Young TV. Young
Taking over the game, baby. Oh yeah.
Young TV.
Hit that like.
Young TV.
Get them likes up in the air, you heard me?
Young TV.
Ride by. Hotel Islam.
Young TV.
Assalamu alaikum. Shalom alaikum. Peace be
Young
unto you.
TV.
Hit that like.
Hotel Islam. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom alaikum. Peace be unto you. Tonight, we got Faise coming on to end the caveman theory for once and for all. Now, we know some of y'all out there think the world is flat. We got probably a lot of flat earthers in here. They're going to be shooting their shots. But you don't shoot too hard because you could get the boot. That's where we from, the boot. Right in the crack part, you know what I'm saying? So don't be coming up in here tripping. Keep in mind, people be saying, why do young elders sit and just listen and he don't, when somebody say something opposite of what he think or what he said, why don't he correct them or stop them? Because that ain't what young El do. Young El collect perspectives. Because he might be looking on this side saying it's 3 and I'm saying it's 2. Until I walk around on his side and look at it from his perspective. Then I might say, oh yeah, it is 3 from this side. So you know what I'm saying? I gain perspectives. That's what makes me who I am. I sit and listen to everybody. They can say something that I might disagree with, but that don't mean that I'm supposed to cut them off and hey, you do this and that. No. Let them express their self. Let everybody express their. That's like an infringement when you don't let people be they self. You gotta let people be they self, and when you see from their perspective, you'll gather the 720. That's what being a 720 to 20 degrees is about. It's about sitting and listening and gathering the perspectives, not cutting somebody off. Oh no, you wrong. This and that. Because some people you might cut off and say you wrong, then you come back and say, damn, that nigga was right. So you don't know. Like, or from that perspective, you know what I'm saying? You might say, oh yeah, I can see what they're saying from that perspective. So that's why we sit and we just listen and take in like a psychologist or something. I don't know what to call it, but we just listen and observe and take notes. And so some people, you can chew up the meat, spit out the bone, right? I'm talking to my flat earth guys. From your perspective, the earth might be flat. Ants think to an ant, the world is flat. Trust and believe. To a gnat, the world is flat. Trust and believe. Really, to you, the world can be flat because how small you is compared to the earth. You're talking about 23,000 and some change in diameter. I mean, in circumference, and 7,000 and something in diameter. Right. So you're talking about a big, huge thing, and it's my it's moving at 1,000 miles an hour. Why you don't feel it? It's because of gravity. They still trying to figure out gravity, right? They think they got it figured out, but they still haven't figured it out. But the part that they was missing is light. Once they figure out light, they figure out gravity. We're gonna get now on the Riz tape. It might drop tomorrow. It might not. It might, but it's gonna for sure drop by Wednesday because I'm almost done with it. But I want it to be perfect and real detail. Before Faise come in, while we got him backstage, let me make this quick announcement. Faise One got 10 books out, right? You want to get those 10 books, man. If you ain't got those 10 books, a lot of people getting the books. Right? Let's show you that flyer. Right? And he's gonna have 11 books out. Right? So you want to start this, so maybe piece. $30, $40 a piece when you get on Amazon. But right now, if you want to go and get those 10 books, all you had to do is send a donation to Play for Change. This is the Cash App right here at the bottom of the page. And you will send any amount of donation in the little links. When you type something in, you will leave your email in that description box. And Faise will get to it. Like I say, it might take us some time. And also keep this in mind too. The people that when you get the books, or if you're waiting on the books, check your spam. Be sure to check your spam account, because sometimes Faise said when he's sending the books that it be in the person's spam. So you check the spam and make sure before you say, "Oh yeah, well we haven't received the books yet," because a lot of people got the books and they already going in on them joints. So you want to go and get them now before they go on Amazon. It'll save you a lot of money. That's what we do. And then also we got the we'll talk about that at the end of the show, the 144K fundraiser, where Faise really much is promoting himself and going against the beast. He's fighting the beast. You know what I'm saying? So all the help we can get is needed. You know what I'm saying? We'll get into that later. Right? So we just want to make that quick announcement while we got Faise coming in. We got Faise in here right now. All right, here we go. Hey, now coming to the stage, ladies and gentlemen, the hottest in the game, Faise One.
Roll back.
There we go. You got a lot of those Robert, you got a lot of those flat earth guys, man. They say, "Oh yeah, what is he gonna say?" Because man, they in here deep. These
what are they gonna say? That's the real thing. What are y'all gonna say?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What you got from y'all? What you think? How you feeling?
Hey, man, I feel good. I've been waiting on this one because I was like, oh yeah, because I put 2 or 3 classes out on it, and then we had one of our scholars supposedly got a STEAM, he got a STEAM credit.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Phil Valentine, he come out with a flat earth shirt. We saw him on Black Magic with the flat earth shirt. I'm thinking to myself, I'm mind boggled because I know that he come from ancient Kemetic teachings, from the Tahuti teachings. And Tahuti been told us the world wasn't no damn flat. We ain't got to get to that, but you're gonna get into that probably. But I'm saying that's on a shock to the community because a lot of people follow Dr. Phil, and so the flat Earth thing is now taking off. Like it's like a lot of people that believe this shit. So what do you got starting out? Do you got the origin on the flat Earth? Can you give us an origin? Like what did this shit take off from? Okay.
I mean, the Greeks really but it really actually it was the other way around. It's the Greeks who came out and was like, yo, they the ones who were accredited for saying around maybe like 240, 250 BC. They were the ones who were accredited for saying this is a round plane. Okay. It's more so about what was a guy named Eratosthenes who came out and did the circumnavigation of the planet Earth. And he started calculating and said basically this is a round plane. But this flat Earth explosion that we seeing, I blame B.O.B. That nigga B.O.B. did this shit. And everybody try to act like they don't know that. You know what I'm saying? It was B.O.B. It wasn't the other Sam nigga. It wasn't none of that. He went big and he started like out of nowhere just coming out with conspiracy theories kind of how Orlando Brown is doing, except his was more reserved. And one of those was like the flat earth. He said the earth is flat, right? And he just started aligning all these different points to connect that the earth is flat. So people started looking into it, and they said, oh, this makes sense. The only issue is the reason why flat earth was making sense was because what flat earthers were doing, the ones who were pushing out the science is supposed to be a flat earth, was they were looking at real sciences and just providing another plane for that science to happen on. Remember we spoke about the clock being flat versus globe, a globe, just a circle or a globe, right? If we were saying that we had to have a flat plane for the clock to work, okay? I told him that's only you calculating the cycles, all right? If you were to use this flat plane to calculate cycles, any object could be moving for that cycle to be calculated. It didn't mean that it was telling you about the shape of the earth. It was just saying that this was what you were going to use as a tool, all right, to calculate this type of time passing, saying hour to be 24 hours in a day. Okay, you can't do that on a sphere. I explained that because that would mean that you would have to find some type of equation of how many times would that 24-hour period be multiplied from its circular position to equal up to the third dimensional sphere. Are you with me? And how many times would each hand have to turn to account for all of the space? You get me? It wouldn't have worked. You have to do it on the flat plane, not to say that this is how your realm operates. This is to say that this is how you as human beings chose to calculate time. And if you're going to use a sphere, tell me how you would do it. And because the person was like, we wouldn't use a sphere. I said, exactly. So it doesn't mean that this is saying that this is the shape of the planet. This just means that that's what that particular tool was. A sundial was flat. The clock is flat. Okay? You know what I'm saying? Your watch appears to be flat. All right. This is to calculate for the time of the 24 hours in your day. Are you with me? Now, you see other systems like how they show you in the movie Dark Crystal, where they got the sun and the moon and the stars, all these things spinning and moving around, and they're going in different directions. That's different. But when you're dealing with just you trying to figure out what time it is in a 24-hour period, that ain't nothing but a charting of 12-hour, broken down into two 12-hour periods, which equaled up to the Hebrews saying this is our yom, which at one time they were looking at it as a day to say 12 hours. Remember, the day wasn't the whole 24 hours at one point. The day was only the 12 hours, and the night was another 12 hours, or the evening. Okay, but you say it all together as one and say what? Now you have a 24-hour period, which is a day. You calculate that using a flat tool that has nothing to do with the shape of your planet. Your planet could be a square moving around the sun, or the sun could be moving around your planet as a square if the planet was square. Are you with me? It still doesn't say this is the shape of the planet because we're using this particular tool to calculate the time that we're observing. Again, we're observing as human beings this particular time. We're calculating that, or these lunations of the moon, we're calculating this and say this is our calendar, or this is our clock. That's how you needed to understand it. You with me? So the sciences work most of the time both ways. It works that the sun seems to be rotating around the planet or moving around a flat plane. Yeah, they can argue that and set up the same types of scenarios, except they just change the shape of the earth and say that the sun is rotating. Why? Because you observing it as a human being on the earth. Now, if you yourself were outside of the earth's atmosphere, you wouldn't argue with people about whether or not the planet Earth was flat or round. The only reason why these paradigms are able to be spawned and people are able to be confused is because from your observation, okay, or your point of observation, whether it's an angular elevation or depression, you're on the earth or in the earth's atmosphere, okay? So you will observe the sun's motion. You with me? That's why they said the sun rises and sets. If we're indeed circling or orbiting around the sun, all right, then the sun doesn't do any of that. It doesn't set or rise. It does neither. Okay, it only appears to set and appears to rise. Okay, it appears to dive beneath the horizon. Okay, and it appears to come up from beneath the horizon. Appearing. Now, if you yourself were to walk or have some type of way to speed up and run with the sun, okay, and never let the sun leave your sight, you would never observe any of these things. You would be right there alongside one of the hour hands, if you so to speak, right? Saying that this sun is always in this particular position because I'm aligned with it. So the only reason why you say 24 hours has passed is because of your position on the planet. But if you yourself were to hop in a plane and fly with the sun, 24 hours would never pass. It would be the same day forever. Because what you call a day is only based upon the movement of whatever these celestial bodies are all right, and the movement of your planet. Are you with me? So it worked with science. The reason why this was able to be so successful and the reason why people flocked to it is because when sciences were presented, they worked for both planes, okay? They worked for a flat plane and a globular plane, except when it was time to explain it, okay? Because anytime you ask a flat earther to truthfully explain, and I'm only saying that because they call it flat earthers. I wouldn't have called people that unless they called themselves that. You know what I'm saying? If you ask them to explain some of these simple sciences, they can't explain them. Are you with me? Or they start using scientific terms to negate science or to debate science, right? We say, well, let's look at the gravity. They say, there's no such thing as gravity. Then you ask, how do you know that? What do you mean? Then what do you call what is happening? Oh, it's just density. Do you know that? Do you know that density and gravity have to be factored in with each other? That when we're speaking about that fourth law, not even a theory at that point, you're speaking about the fourth law, Newton's universal law of gravitation, okay? We're speaking about beings or things, objects, particles even, that have some type of density, okay? Which allows for them to have some type of gravitational pull or gravitational force or force gravity, okay? Interacting with each other. If you say it's density, the only reason that could happen is if something had mass. And if something has mass, then that mass interacts with other mass. Okay? If you need a representation of something like that, simply you can use air, okay, to replicate it or do an experiment and say, well, if I have a plate in my hand and I turn my, let's try it now. I don't have a plate, but let's use this sheet of paper. Okay? Here's a sheet of paper. I got a sheet of paper in my hand. If I turn it, what happens? It falls. However, if I take that same piece of paper and I turn my hand and I move my hand, for some reason, even though I turn my hand and it should fall, while it's in motion, the shit ain't falling. Are you with me? So we can see how when things are in motion, they affect what would have appeared to be the state of whatever the object was. Okay? The paper exists by itself, but when it's interacting with me while it's in motion, are you with me? It moves. You can observe that in water. If you move your hand up under some water underneath an object, it will change position. You understand? And shift. That's where you get into all the different parts of that density. You got buoyancy and the reason why boats are able to remain afloat and as opposed to a pebble and all this other stuff, displacement. And, okay, cool. Scientific terms that you will utter and throw around, but you're using scientific terms. So then why don't you go into gravity? Is it because you haven't studied it? Is it because it's not your area of expertise? Do you not know how to calculate certain things? That makes sense because a YouTube video ain't gonna teach you that in one while. You sit down, now you're a master of it. You can learn about it, but you can't be a master of it. So the ones who actually calculate these things are the ones who throw that shit up there in space, throw telescopes up in there and try to detect this and detect that and say, how is this force acting upon this force and how is this planet interacting with this planet and why is this happening over here when these planetoids start to speed up and they're calculating things. Are you with me? Being scientists themselves. So the flat earthers, they weren't doing that. They were just watching the videos of the people who saying, yo, this shit is flat. They said, I can only see but so far. And then you find out where human beings can only see 3 miles. You with me? So what is your horizon? Your horizon, in all actuality, you wouldn't say the horizon because when you're speaking of a horizon, you're speaking about how far you can see. Okay, it's referred to as your limit of vision. Your limit of vision is not the other person's limit of vision. Somebody over here might be able to see as far as 15 miles, but that means that they're standing up on an elevated place. And because you're standing on flat, laid out ground, you can only see but 3 miles. Then you have to factor in, is that ground actually flat? Are you with me? Because of all of the different curvature points on your planet alone, okay? And you can measure that a million different ways and still come up with the same result and say, you cannot say for sure that the planet has to operate how you said it operates. It has to be calculated. You cannot say for sure that if you're looking at something 3 miles away, okay, and you can't see beyond that, then somebody else can't. You have to calculate. You can use parabolic equations. Are you with me? But some type of way, you have to calculate where you are positioned on the planet to be able to say, yo, I can only see this far because I'm not elevated upward. So when they say, oh, the boats disappeared past the horizon, if you were standing on top of a lighthouse, you wouldn't observe that same boat disappearing. You would still be able to see that boat for another few miles out. So people argue that and say, well, because that boat doesn't actually disappear, then it must mean that the planet isn't flat. the planet isn't round or the earth isn't round. No, the only reason why you're able to observe boats going down as opposed to up is because there must be some type of curvature to your plane. Because if you were able to see out as far as you should be able to see out before you run into an ice wall, if you were to grab a telescope, you would observe that that boat was going upward. Are you with me? If this was a flat plane, your line of sight or your limit of vision would continue to go upward to you, not downward. You wouldn't see objects go down, you would see objects go up. Okay? So then you ask, who was the person who was able to take the telescope? All I'm asking, who took the telescope and pointed it to the ice wall from the center of the planet? Which for them, if they were to pick a model, because they don't have an actual archetype. Flat Earth is another problem. You don't have an archetype. So it's like, which point are you arguing? When you argue with these people who at least have a model. They don't have a model that all of them agree upon. Are you with me? So if you were to say, let's use one model, which will be that flat disc compass looking model, saying that the North Pole was in the center, all right, or the Arctic Pole, and then you have the Antarctic Pole or the Antarctica that's on the outskirts like we spoke about, which is supposed to be the South Pole, which doesn't make sense, okay, because that's not how magnets work, okay? The North Pole will have a pole on the bottom of it to be the South Pole. That's magnetism. That's negative and positive all day and nighttime. Are you with me? So let's say somebody were able to stand in the center of the plane and aim a telescope to the edge of the planet and observe the ice wall. Then you would have a point. Are you with me? But you don't have a point because you can't tell me there's not a telescope enough powerful enough to do that when they got telescopes looking over to the damn Centauri star constellation and the Sirius and other. You know, they have you can, if you can see Betelgeuse from Earth in a telescope, you can see the damn ice wall. Why haven't you done it? Because you know if you do that shit, your ass is not going to go all the way to the ice wall from the center of the Earth, which would have been the North Pole. You will not be able to see all the way to the ice wall. Are you with me? So what is this? We got to kill another thing. What is the ice wall? Where y'all getting that from? When did it become the ice wall instead of a place called Antarctica that has ice walls in it? You understand? Or glaciers in it. Okay? Or plateau-like formations made of ice in the particular country or on that continent. You understand? The ice wall is confusing a lot of people because you think that there's a wall that literally wraps up. So ask yourself this question. If your planet is, or your plane is encased in a dome, and that dome sits on top of an ice wall, but just so happens to be your South Pole for some reason. If you know there's an ice wall, then why can you see past the ice wall? And you're not going to tell me that people have pictures of the ice wall, but didn't have the ability to fly a drone up there to look over it? Another thing, if there's anybody that could have ever gone past the ice wall, i.e. Richard Byrd, that means that a dome was not connected to that wall. Because if the dome were connected to that wall, first of all, he would not have been able to fly high enough, okay, to even get over the wall, to go anywhere, because he would have been stopped before he could go anywhere. That ice wall would have connected to a dome that would have stopped his travels before he could pass over it. If he could pass over it, then that ice wall is not connected to a dome, which means that this model that you would be using of that flat plane is false. Are you with me? Then what do they say? They say, no, after the ice wall, there is more land. There are more places. Okay, that'll make sense. So then you have to, just, again, define or describe or present an archetype. Present one model that shows all of the levels, all of the places that exist in the earth plane. Then they go and get somebody's drawing that they did in their living room. They bring it to you and say, this is the map. I said, where's the scaling? Show me how I could see for myself if this is true. No, it's just some shit somebody drew up. They say Anu lives over here. So Hootie over there camping out. How do you know that if you can't go past the ice wall? Who went over there past this so-called ice wall to find all these other continents and bring back a map when the only thing you have is missing diaries from Richard Byrd? All right, which is one of the main argument points. Then another thing they say, well, what about the treaty? What about the Antarctica Treaty? They said, we can't come to Antarctica. I said, that's a bold-faced lie. They never said you can't come to Antarctica. They said, if you bring your ass over here, you can't bring atomic weapons. That's what they said. There's no militarization in Antarctica. All of the 69 countries came together and said, yo, we're going to work with this. there's no militarization, and you have to be there on scientific research, and you can't take shit back with you. You feel what I'm saying? So that's not to say that there are no operations in Antarctica. It's just saying that they never said your ass couldn't go over there. You don't even need a visa to go to Antarctica. You just had to get some type of approval from your government to allow you to go there. If you can't go to Antarctica, then why you see happy-go-lucky white folks over there all the damn time? Taking pictures, skiing, you know what I mean? Right there on the edge of the planet. Are you understand what I'm saying? No, the Antarctica Treaty didn't have anything to do with banning people from Antarctica. It had everything to do with banning nuclear weapons from that pole for a reason. Okay, if you really did your research, you will find that there were threats to the Germans in that time period around the,
45, 38.
Around 1930s. Yeah, 1930s. They were threatening the Germans that were over there that had underground bunkers. Okay, in Antarctica, saying that they were going to come over there and nuke them. All right, and Richard Byrd and his fleet wound up trying to go over there to do that, and they said that they were met with extraterrestrial crafts and all kind of stuff that were shooting their fleet down. They caught it on film and all kind of stuff. It was in the Third Reich documentary. I think it was Operation Paperclip and Operation High Jump. Either one of them. It was one of the Russian documentaries, the Third Reich, and they put it in there and they was explaining all of it and said that Richard Byrd was one of the ones who came out and said that if there was ever a world war again, okay, they will be faced with the opposition that had vehicles that can literally fly from pole to pole. Listen to what he said. From pole to pole in a matter of seconds. Now, if he said from pole to pole, he could not have been one of the people who thought that there was one pole, which is the North Pole, and some type of circular case that's supposed to be a pole, which is not a pole, that's the South Pole that operates around the planet. No, he said from pole to pole, and he said that for a reason. Are you with me? So, no, the Antarctica Treaty didn't say niggas can't come to Antarctica. Go look it up. Start listening to the people. Go see if you can go to Antarctica. And they're going to be like, yeah, why you ain't came over here yet? You just can't go over there on no bullshit. And it ain't some shit you just going to be able to go over there because, again, you got all kind of operations that have been taking place. And there's a lot of uncharted land. Go watch the movie Uncharted. There's a lot of uncharted land in Antarctica, not even beyond it, just in Antarctica. Okay, all the little America, all this, it's right over there. You understand? So it wasn't saying you can't come. It's just saying certain things would not be allowed. Now, I don't know why people trying to act so confused where you're not allowed to go into military bases in America. Okay? There are certain restricted areas in your city that you can't go to. All right? Why? Because the military is there, for one. And you can't just walk up in the military and be like, what y'all doing? You know what I mean? They got things set up for security reasons. All right? So I don't know why people are confused about that. If you don't know, then why don't you enlist in the army and see if you can get deployed out there, okay, to see what's really going on? Or why don't you become one of those people who has some type of scientific research business and go and see what's going on out there? Other than that, telling people, for one, that the earth is flat based off of an Antarctica treaty that had everything to do with weaponization and militarization as opposed to whether or not you could be localized in that area, all right, is futile. When you arguing with people who claim that the earth is flat, why do they say, or when people are having a conversation, not even an argument, why do they say if you ask them a question, I don't have to prove flat earth, all right? Globe earthers have to prove a globe earth. And then you speak about all the things and the experiments and everything that's been conducted in real time, not to mention the satellites and all this other stuff that we can get into. And they say, oh, that's fake. Everything is fake. He said, okay, that's fake. Can you present something that would at least prove what you're saying? Okay, NASA has a fake image. All right, for some reason, you think NASA is the only space agency on the planet Earth and in history. I don't know why that reason is, but you do. You haven't looked into the ancient Sumerians 7,000 years ago, the ones who had space stations set up in Ziggurat, Iraq, okay, with the ziggurat set up and all of that. You ain't looked into them. You ain't looked into the ancient Egyptians and how they had their spaceports, which was literally in Egypt. You understand, with the pyramids, ain't somebody being landing mats and all of that. You ain't looked into Chichen Itza and how that was an airport, okay, and they didn't have no runway for a reason, because those vehicles were able to travel in and out of the planet. The Thunderbirds and everything that the Native Americans spoke about. You didn't look into that? Okay, those were space operations and space stations. The heavens was just another word for space. So for some reason, they think NASA's the only one. I don't know why. But NASA has a fake image. If NASA has a fake image, well, then the question is, where's your real image? Who went up there to say, we can't go no further than this? You got to show me one person that was like, fuck this shit, got in a rocket ship, went outside and hit their head. It was like, all right, we can't go no further. You feel what I'm saying? And you can't show me that. Then you have to ask real questions. Is this religious based? Because if it's religious based, it makes sense. Because the firmament is mentioned in the biblical scriptures. So either you don't have an idea what the firmament was actually speaking about, you don't really know what the rakia is, or you just heard somebody speak about it. He said, this must back up my religion. Okay, this must back up my ideology, so I have to present it as a fact. But how can you present something as fact and you have not gone to test and prove it for even yourself? It is a belief. Flat earth is a belief. Now, that's not to say that the globe earth isn't a belief. You understand? Because if you haven't been out there yourself, you still believe in the globe earth. The globe earth is a belief too. You understand? I don't care if you're going from a geocentric or a heliocentric model. If you ain't centrified your ass no motherfucking where, you still believe what these people said. Okay? So who can describe the plane from personal experience? Who can say, I got on a rocket or a UFO or something personally in real time and went out there and saw what this plane was composed of and how it was made and what the shape was? You understand? No one can. Except the ones who have, which you don't trust. So you say NASA's lying, everybody lying. The space station in Russia's lying, everybody, the Indians, everybody lying. You understand? And then you ask them, why did they all agree upon the globe? Why did everybody figure out the globe? Was it because it was a scientific advancement? If anything, they would be still saying in Russia, right? Hell no, the U.S. is lying. They said they lied about the moon landing. You understand? They said they would say the U.S. is lying, the earth is flat. They would be teaching, they're not teaching that. The Russians still have scientists who are competing and astronomers who are competing with the U.S.'s scientists and astronomers and all the people, you know what I'm saying, that astronauts, all that. They're competing with each other. You feel what I'm saying? So somewhere along the lines, common sense got to settle back in. Or not even just common sense, beyond common sense. Because the con man sense is why this is like this now. Okay? Because people have been conned. Con man. Are you with me? What else you got for me? Who got any questions?
Hey, yeah, about that ice wall, because we know from the master teacher in the Holy Tablets that ice wall that they talking about is nothing but a lake, because like these icebergs surround that lake bed. And then once you get over that, once you get there past that lake bed or that ice wall, you get to a huge lake that's melted out in the middle of Antarctica. And supposedly Hitler and them went down in the bottom of that got his submarines and went down there and they come out to Shambhala, Ottawa. So we get into that. Yeah, right. So we can get into that. And then Admiral, like you say, Admiral Byrd and them went down and they got their behind kicked because Hitler pulled out them Ashtar Command help me out they had put together, to make a long story short. But Admiral Byrd turn around and go to the top, to the north, and go down off in there on the next trip.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So, but this is the question I got for you.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm going to say I'm dealing with gravitational pull, like gravitation. I know that the Earth got its own with the North Pole, it's got its own magnetic force field. Plus humans got its magnetic force field. And I'm trying to figure out about gravity right now. Like, so based on your perspective about gravity, we'll get into more so here dealing with the flat Earth theory, because gravity, how would gravity play a part in the difference between flat Earth and a round Earth? Because we know that the Earth is rotating, and that how the wind and blow and everything, and how the sunlight is really creating the gravities. That's one perspective. They say the sunlight is giving the gravity with the magnetic energy. So the connection with magnetic energy and gravity with the round Earth and the flat Earth, would it be a difference with how the gravity is works?
First of all, it would have to be, because not only are we speaking about gravity as far as the mass and its force, okay, and how things are affected by that mass and its force, you're also saying that people say the flat Earth is fixed. It doesn't move. You understand? Right. So it's just sitting. Right. And everything is operating around it. If you have a plane, listen to what I'm about to say. If there is a plane, all right, I don't know what that sheet of paper is. Okay, here we go. This is a plane, all right? If you can point to what that plane is, it is a single thing, okay? A single thing cannot be all things. So if a single plane is sitting in whatever it's sitting in, the question is what is it sitting in?
Right.
There's no such thing as outer space, according to flat earthers. NASA made up space. Do they know that they're saying NASA made up heaven? Do they know that they're saying NASA made up the heavens? Do they know that they're saying NASA made up the cosmos? You talking about new ass NASA? They just showed up. We don't even know who they are. They just finished putting their suitcase down. They ain't even been here. They're the ones who gave you the science of space and the vastness of the cosmos, when the same Bible that you claim flat earth comes from speaks about the heavens in the first chapter and verse. In the beginning, God created, not NASA, the heavens and the earth. So we have the earth, then we have the heavens. Okay? If the earth was void and without form, and they had to separate the old water from the newer water or the heavenly waters, and you say that it's water above the earth that's past this so-called firmament, which is nothing to just say your magnetosphere and below. All right? Your atmospheric range of your planet. Okay? Then you're telling me that there is an outer space, which means that this plane, if it were flat and just sitting in the middle of nowhere, that doesn't make any sense at all. How can I sit this plane in the middle of nowhere? And then people say it's an infinite plane. Then you have to ask them, who the hell took their behind all across infinity and measured it? How do you circumnavigate an infinite plane? When even to say circumnavigate says that this bitch is a circle or a sphere. All right? If it is a thing, let's say it again, one more time. If it is a thing, it is in all things, which means it isn't all encompassing of anything that you can say is all things, which means it isn't infinite. So what's my point here? This plane that is the earth will have to be in motion. Are you with me? As all things in space are in motion. And because that thing is in motion, it is not only being affected by all the other bodies that are greater than itself, like the sun, that is also in motion, all right? It also is affecting other smaller things like your moon as it moves. Are you with me? That's when you get into the centripetal and the centrifugal forces. Okay, how do we have a force like that if there's no such thing as gravity? Okay, so that's when you get into the laws. You got to learn what the laws were and what they studied. If they speak about the Newtons or the Newtonians, we say Newton's universal law of gravitation, what did they say it was? They said all bodies with mass attract all other bodies with mass. That's just the simple way to put it. There's a whole other way to put it. You say every particle attracts every other particle.
Hey, magnetic energy. That's what it is.
Yes, it's everything, every molecule, every particle is able to attract all these other particles, all right, all these other molecules, whatever you want to say. It's the smallest units you can say space is or mass is, and these things that are made up in it, okay, that operate within your universe, and they have a force that will have to be proportional to whatever the product of the mass. It's all kind of. I'll keep it simple to say all bodies with mass affect or have an effect on all other bodies with mass. All right, with me, which means they attract them. Okay, so that's when you get into the push and the tug and the pull, which is why satellites are able to work. Okay, because if there's no gravity, why do you have satellites orbiting your planet? And how could that work on a flat plane? You understand? If these satellites are in the air, which they are, if they're not, you don't have GPS. You understand? These satellites are in the air. If they're not, then you don't have the eagle eye programs from the NSA to be able to scope and see every motherfucking thing you're doing. Big Brother and them can tap into your home and all kind of thermonuclear technologies and everything. All right? How do they do that? Satellites. Okay? You can literally see the satellites at night. Some of y'all have been seeing streams of satellites thinking they're UFOs. Okay? Which, you know, honestly, they would have to be UFOs because you didn't know what they were. All you saw is that they were moving around in the sky above you, which meant to you they're flying. So unidentified flying objects because you said these are objects. Okay? So how do satellites operate on a flat plane? All we asking is for you to really just give us the science. And then we're going to ask you, how the fuck you know? Did you yourself have anything to do with this flat earth satellite project that you speak of? Okay? If not, then all we have left is math that we can utilize to calculate. Okay? Which still goes into that law of gravitation. So we know that the satellites literally move around the earth. Okay, but how do they move around the earth phase? They have a velocity that's tangent to the curve. Okay, which means that as they move around the earth, they're also moving upward. That creates a tangent to the curve. Pay attention to what I'm saying. A tangent to the curve. Okay, if you were going to say they were moving around a plane that's supposed to be flat, that would not work. You have to factor in velocity. Okay, which says that what? How would this even take place? The Earth has a greater mass than the satellites do, obviously. And because the Earth has a greater mass, you have to be able to calculate how this particular object is not only being affected by the Earth, but how does it affect the Earth? You say that's not possible. How could the satellite affect the Earth? No, as the Earth pulls on the satellite, it may be something that is so minuscule that you don't think it's measurable, but the satellite itself is affecting the Earth. Every time there's another human being that's born on the planet Earth, you affect the Earth. You have mass, okay, which means you have your own gravitational pull. And they got all their formulas for that. You have the force of gravity, which they represent as, I don't want to go too deep, make people think I'm trying to, you know what I'm saying, flex. I ain't got no way to write it down right now, right? But you got the force of gravity, which appears as Fg in the equations, okay? Then they'll say that equals the G, which is your gravitational pull or your gravitational constant, right? So you have your Fg, it appears as F, lowercase g, equals gravitational constant, right? Constant. Then you have your mass 1, all right? Then you have your mass 2. And then you put over that what will appear as radius squared, all right? Which is really just to say the distance, to keep it simple, all right? So force of gravity, or the small force of gravity, all right, which is the Fg, or the force of gravitational pull, equals the gravitational constant, all right, times whatever your mass is for the first one. Let's say it's the mass of the Earth. All right, then you have the mass of a person. So you'll write it out as mass Earth, which is ME. Then you'll write mass person, which is MP. And then you put it over the distance, which will be whatever the radius is of that original one, to say radius times squared, which gives you the distance. So that distance is saying, because I don't want to confuse you, all right, you have this mass Earth, this big ball with immense gravity pulling on this satellite. Okay, those forces are interacting with each other. Okay, and as this thing pulls, it's trying to get away. All right, but because of this calculation of trying to get away, that velocity turns into a tangent on a curve. So it orbits. Same thing with the moon. The moon ain't nothing but a satellite, and it operates the same mathematical way. All right, and if you go and research it, you'll find that every year the moon is getting further and further away from the planet. Okay, because every time it pulls around, there's some pull that the moon has of its own kind that's saying, let me free. Are you with me? And then you have to factor in the sun, as the sun is also pulling on not only the Earth, is also pulling on the Earth's satellite, which is the moon. Are you with me? So in time, all of these bodies will eventually get closer to the sun as the sun continues to grow. Go look it up. The sun is growing. And when that sun turns to a supernova, which can happen any moment now, don't listen to that billion years shit. Shit can happen tomorrow. That's how time is moving. All right? Then all of these objects will be pulled in as the mass of that object continues to expand. Are you with me? And increase in frequency as it expands. Okay? This is real deal science. This ain't no, all I see is when I walk outside, I see a flat plane, so I didn't need NASA to tell me it was a globe. You see a flat plane because you standing your ass on 3rd Avenue and you in the middle of the fucking street. Did you ever think to go to Piedmont Park and look and see that you'll see hills and valleys and peaks and all this other shit? And then is it flat then? Which is where you get into the conversation of what the plane is, because the plane ain't nothing but saying this. All right, it's just this. That's the plane that they're talking about. They can't say flat Earth, because to say flat Earth is to say that all landscape is flat. All right? Which means it would have been set up if you were standing on it perpendicularly as a 0-degree plane. Are you with me? That's not how this works. So to even say it is a flat Earth, the Earth is flat. You're saying the Earth to try to specify a formation of a thing, but you're not taking into account all of the other things that make up this thing you call the Earth. So if you were to go back to Hebrew, all right, which appears as the original manuscripts, all right, or of the original manuscripts, okay, with the exception of the Greeks, like the Septuagint and all that, you have the Aramaic and the Hebrew writings of the Bible saying bara, okay, create, eretz, earth, okay, and eretz was saying land, country. All right. So if we say land, you're not talking about the water. That's ma'im. That's a whole different word. So when they said they formed the earth, they weren't talking about the water and the core and all this other stuff that you didn't factor in. All these different layers of your planet, the magma, you didn't look into that. Okay? So if we would say the earth is flat, well, what about the water? Right? Then you say the water. How you say the water when what you say is the water is made up of a whole bunch of smaller molecules of water or compounds, H2O, hydrogen 1, 2, oxygen. No, actually, hydrogen 2, oxygen 1. Are you with me? So if that small thing, that small compound, creates that first spark of what you would say is a water drop, okay, then all these water drops appear spherical in reality if you isolate them by themselves and suspend them by themselves. So it's not no the water is flat or the water finds itself. Look at this water bottle. The shit flat in here, supposedly. All right, but if I lean this bitch, then what? It starts to take on another form that if you were to look at this water bottle from that angle, but to observe that water moving, it will be just based off of how the water bottle was positioned. But what makes up this water formation, whether it's a lake or an ocean, is not flat. It's literally spherical. Because did you factor in the mass of the atom? Did you factor in the mass of the particle? And before a certain point in time, scientists did not say, oh, particles have mass. But now you have to look into it and say, that's not only a possibility, a probability, it's a reality. All things have mass. So that's why they had to adjust it by the 1600s or the 17th century. By 1687, Newton came out and was like, yo, we figured out that these particles have mass. You feel what I'm saying? And all of these mass objects or whatever interact with each other. Okay? So gravity is basically literally saying mass affects other mass. Okay? And we have mass. So even if you say it's density or it's buoyancy or whatever you want to say, you have to explain why there's an acceleration when people fall. Then you have some people try to say, oh, there's an acceleration because the planet, which is the plane, which is the flat plane, which is supposed to be fixated and not moving, is constantly moving upward, which does not make sense. Are you with me? They say it's constantly moving upward. I said, where do you get that from? They said, that's why everybody is falling, because it's always in an upward motion. Are you with me? Which means that not only is it in an upward motion, that upward motion will have to be constant. Okay? So if that upward motion is constant, all right, why does it have to be constant, Faise? If this plane was moving upward and accelerating, you wouldn't be able to move. You would be literally glued to the floor. And over time, your body would become goo. You understand? And eventually you would be blended into the planet because you would be stuck to the plane that's constantly not only moving upward, but moving upward at an accelerating rate. Why am I using this word acceleration? Because when people fall, every second they accelerate. All right? 9-8 meters per second. You're accelerating. Why? If it's just, oh, we just got density and we falling in the air. No, as you approach this core, all right, or this gravitational pull source, all right, which is the planet, that gravity becomes stronger as you get closer to it. Are you with me? Think about it. Is a magnet stronger when it's further away from another magnet or when it's closer? You ever play with magnets? You hold them closer to each other, close enough, the bitch is going to snap together. You understand? If you hold them further away from each other, what takes place? It takes more time to pull them in. That's the planet. So gravity ain't just something that somebody done made up out of nowhere. Gravity is literally, all right, mass interacting with each other. Make sense? What else you got for me?
Also, part of that too, once we figure out how to switch our magnetic frequency on and off, like switch it to from north to south, that's how we'll be able to fly. And then once you control it, once you're able to control it, where you can make it, where you can direct yourself. Like first, when you get control of it, you just probably can levitate. Some of the these monks Baba did it one time too. They said somebody said that they saw Baba do it on the land one time.
Yep.
Levitate. Yeah, so like you got the South Pole and North Pole on your body, and you got the South Pole and North Pole on the Earth in the magnetic force field. So once you're able to say you got the South on the bottom and you facing the North facing you, if you can switch to North, it'll push you off so where you can get off the ground. And you can do that mentally, but we hadn't like activated that part of our brain yet. I believe when we get to the blue light, we'll start to develop it. Develop that where we can switch our poles. Because like Dick Gregory was talking about, like laying down, they say lay to the north, lay with your head facing the north or whatever. You know, because like it's certain. So who he talking about that in the Emerald tablets about laying a certain way, laying to the north for this and that. But this is the part I was gonna ask you. Now, these flat earth guys, man, they say. Now I know that people sail from China to California. You know what I'm saying? People sail from New York to China.
Yeah.
So if it was so how is that happening? If it's an ice wall, how are they able to sail to China? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
On different
how are they able to do that? And then could you break down that? It's a part you broke down the last time. That's really what I was going to ask you. The part you broke down about the dome. Go ahead. What you finna say? No, I was saying the part about the dome where you said that if you're at the edge of the dome and you try to go up, you only got to step around the room. Yeah. Go ahead.
Exactly. First of all, again, a lot of this shit wouldn't be possible except if you were on some type of curved plane. All right, traveling to certain places faster than you would, okay, if you were to go another route. All right, with me, meaning you can go from this place to that place because they're nearer each other on this particular point of the planet. Okay, if you were to try to go this flat Earth route, not only would it take you longer, it would take you much, much longer. Okay, to the point where the time that it would take you to travel from these places wouldn't add up to these people's flight schedules. Are you with me? So that's how people are flying from China to India, and over here you going from Russia to America faster this way, depending on where you're traveling. Then another misconception that they say, well, the planes are set up on a flat Earth model. No, the communication system for the planes is set up on the same way the clock is set up on a flat plane. The communication system for the planes or the pilots is set up on a flat Earth model, okay, which is really, you can't even say that because you don't have a model. But it's set up because how else would they be able to chart it? They had to chart it that way, okay? But they still have to, they say, well, the planes don't account for any curvature. Listen, do you know how big your planet is? Do you know how big it is? You have not observed curvature as a human being. You're not able to see far enough to even observe it. The plane isn't big enough to have to account for curvature. You're saying it the wrong way. All right? In all actuality, all they're doing is maintaining their distance as they're flying. You understand? People say, well, they should be able to fly completely off. All right? If it's a curve, they should be able to either fly completely off or they would have to adjust the plane. No. That's if you, again, don't think gravity exists. You understand? But in a world, which has been a world for a long time, where it actually does exist, they don't have to alter anything. You understand? They will just have to maintain their distance, which is why they have controls. And when it's time for them to go down, guess what they do? They pull the levers and they go down. All right? Or whatever they do. I don't fly planes. And when it's time for them to come up, they pull up and they go up. All right? So in a world where gravity exists, motherfuckers don't have to, and again, the planes aren't big enough for them to be like, oh shit, here comes the curve. You understand? It ain't like the curve is over there in the distance. Okay? The plane is so large, you're not able to observe it anyway, the planet. And if that's not true, prove otherwise. If it's not true, then show us an image of the flat plane. That's all we want, is for one of you to go far enough, send a rocket ship, something, and show us that the whole of the plane is flat. And that's where you get into the dome conversation, because how the hell are you going to do that? How you going to do that, Thomas? You know what I'm saying? How you going to do that, Jones? How are you going to show us the flat plane if there's a dome over the plane? Meaning you ain't going to be able to get your ass out there no motherfucking way to show anybody if there's a flat plane. Are you with me? So then watch this. Who has gone past the stratosphere, all right, to be able to prove you can't go any further, all right, or got to a certain point and say you can't get beyond this ionosphere? Who did it? All right, and if you haven't done it, then all you have is what? Conjecture. So some people say, well, Faise, you're not disproving flat earth. First of all, you have not proved flat earth. Let's start there. Sound familiar? Faise, you're not proving globe earth. I'm not disproving globe earth. What I'm saying to you is, do you really motherfucking know? Do you really know? Do you want to know why this conversation has lasted this long? It's because a whole bunch of motherfuckers are like, I don't know. And they came together and argued shit they didn't know. You got a lot of stuff lined up to say you still don't damn know. You can stand outside my house all you want to with a tape measure and calculate the window span and calculate the length of the door and calculate how long, you know what I'm saying, the porch is and calculate when the width of the doorknob. You can do all that shit all day. If we're having a conversation about what the planet, the house looked like on the inside, and you ain't been in there, you don't damn know. And on the same token, we're having a conversation about what this planet looks like on the outside. And let me tell you, in 4K audio, we do not know unless we've been out there. So please explain to me why the fuck y'all have been arguing for a whole decade about some shit you literally do not know. It has formed into another religion. Same thing Christians did with the Muslims. Same thing the Muslims did with the Christians. They've been arguing and fighting and bombing and warring about shit that they didn't damn know. They not a single one of them met this man called Jesus, his father, his parents, his homeboys, the angels. They ain't met no motherfucking body short of the demons. They might have met them. You understand? But they can't say for sure any of this stuff. People coming out of combat. You got John Cabana, who used to be Boom Gang, saying, I don't know why everybody turning Muslim. That ain't the true God. Who told you? They come down and be like, hey, go tell them motherfuckers over there. We ain't with that Muslim shit. We Christians over here. No. So it's all belief. Now, do you have the right to believe? Yes. But then you start conflating belief with science, and that's where we got an issue. You start conflating belief with what you know, and that's where we have an issue. You with me? So then all I'm saying is kill the illusion that comes with it. The illusion says, I know this thing. That's an illusion. Is anybody in here, whether it's in the comment section or whatever, able to tell me that from their own recollection, from their own memory or whatever they know themselves, they know the shape of the earth? Not no experiment you done did to take a tape measurer and a telescope and a stick you done rammed into the ground to say, look at the shadow. You know what I mean? No. Have you gone outside of the Earth's atmosphere and looked at this bitch? Have you done it? All I want is for one motherfucker to lie to me right now. That's all I want. I ain't want nothing else today. I just want one person to lie to me in the comment and be like, I went out there. You with me? Because if it's flat and you gonna tell me it's flat, I'm gonna be like, how the fuck you get out there? If it's a dome over this bitch. You know what I mean? And if it's round, I'm gonna be like, okay, so you were an astronaut? Did you go out there and see it? All right, did you take photos? Did they let you take photos? Are you with me? You don't know. But we sit on here and we argue and we fight. Niggas been hitting me up for maybe 4 years now. Be like, yo, you heard of Bro Sanchez? I mean, I don't have a choice now. You done said the nigga name a million times. I don't have a choice but to hear about him. Let me tell you, he don't know what he's talking about. He don't know. Ask Bro Sanchez, be like, did you go out there? And watch he flip the script and be like, so you believe everything NASA tell you? No, Bro Sanchez, focus. Did you go out there? Did you go out there? Listen, I don't know why all y'all globe heads. Wait, Bro Sanchez. I'm asking you a question. I don't know if you noticed. Did you yourself go out there? We can't go out there. Oh, I was waiting on you to say that. I've been writing this down for a while. How the fuck you know you can't go out there if you ain't trying to go the fuck out there? Is it because the Bible tells you so? Okay, but then we got another problem because you also told me that there was a place called heaven, which is beyond the earth. and beyond the firmament. You can't tell me that heaven is within the firmament, because if heaven is within the firmament, then I'm saying planes that you upset about that can't account for curvature should be able to take our asses up there, and we should be able to ride past God in them. And if we can ride past God in them on some planes, don't you think Lucifer would have invaded wherever the fuck them niggas was at by now? Are you with me? No. Him no go out there. Neither do B.O.P. go out there. Nobody no go out there who say it's flat. So then here's what they used to get upset with me about on Clubhouse. They used to do the rooms. They be like, pick a side. Which one are you? They niggas used to get pissed off. So I'm not getting it. Are you flat earth? Are you globe? Who the fuck told you I had to choose? When neither one of those things have been shown forth, all right, to me, myself, and say, I know this. I can Google an image of Earth right now. I don't know if that's a real image or a false image. You understand? However, if I had to choose a team, like if they literally put a gun, I say, you got to choose. Before they finish the sentence, globe. It makes more sense. And they have a motto. Me personally, when I'm going scouting to figure out which team I'm going to choose, they got to at least have a jersey. They have a motto. It's called the Globe Earth motto. I'm not upset about that. I go to the Flat Earth saying, well, they got a motto. What you got for me? Right? Y'all got 17,000 maps. Neither one of them have you confirmed to be the model of Flat Earth. You got some people that say it's a dome. You got other people say there isn't a dome. You got other people talking about it was giants running around the planet cutting down trees to make the earth. And you got other people that's like, there was never a giant. There is no such thing as religion. Everything was made up and the planet Earth is flat. Then you ask where they get the firmament word from, and they don't want to tell you it's the Bible. That's literally where the word came from for them. Are you with me? So it's like, yo, I used to piss some niggas off because all I was doing was asking them questions they couldn't answer them. Science tells me how the atmosphere is formed on our planet. Science tells me about how over time the atmosphere is starting to be filled up with oxygen, at least what we call in the atmosphere, which is the biosphere that's closest to us, all right, filling up with oxygen so that the living beings on it could continue to live. All right, then we got these different levels in our biospheres, or in our atmosphere, which appears as 7 heavens, okay? So by the time we get up there beyond where the magnetosphere is, that's our list of all of these atmospheric points before we get to the highest point, but we can't go nowhere beyond that anyway, all right, if that's what you said is a firmament, okay, unless you have the ability to get past whatever those harsh magnetic forces are that keep this whole realm in this realm, all right, boom. Outside of that is called outer space. Science explains that. You might call it a vacuum, whatever you want to call it. Outside of the Earth's atmosphere, which is an inner space, since we're saying we're in the Earth's atmosphere, is an outer space. Okay? Science explains that. Ask the flat earthers, how did the firmament get formed? And they'll say God did it. And I have to let them know that does not suffice. Because God did it doesn't tell me how the fuck it got done. How? Do you have an explanation? That's all we're saying. I'm not saying you lying. I'm just saying why you don't have no answers. How did the shit get there? If it was not some God or invisible force that we don't know anything about, how did it get there? And if it's an invisible force that we don't know anything about, how you know about it? If not from a book. So are you telling me you're basing your literal world view, your view of what the world is, based off of one book? And if you are, you have the right to do so. Just don't get upset with me and unfollow me and hate me because I'm like, that don't make sense. I don't have to do that. You have the right to do that. I have the right to not to do that. You with me? So the key thing for people to remember is science has explanations. And when you go and learn the science and the math and all this other stuff, I just broke down the equation of how you can even deal with Newton's universal law of gravitation and how it interacts with it. Niggas don't have time to learn that. They don't want to learn that. They want to be a TikTok guru. That's the whole thing for 2023, 2024, and beyond. Niggas want to be TikTok gurus, maybe get a YouTube channel. You know what I'm saying? And that's all they want to do. You don't want to become scientists and mathematicians. I'm saying constantly, this is what you should be studying. You understand? Because this is how they make smartphones that we use in the iMacs and others. They using real science. Okay? How did the dome get there? No answer. What's underneath the flat plane? All right? Because if there's a world above it, what's beneath it? No answer. How did the flat plane get here? If you say God created it, I'm going to flip. Because it's not an answer. That's not telling me how. That's just telling me that. You feel what I'm saying? How did it get here? How was it formed, this so-called flat plane? What are the measurements of this plane? Now, I can look at the measurements of the planet Earth. They've measured it. I can look at those measurements of the whole globe plane. They give it to you, the circumference and everything. All right, cool. All right, radius, diameter, it's all there. What is the measurements of the flat plane? All right, all we saying is these motherfuckers got numbers, calculations, documentation, scientists on their side saying this is what this is. If you're going to present something, present it with facts or have something there that could be gone in and saw and see, okay, you got at least something, but you don't have answers to the real questions. Now they have answers to the debate questions because again, that's how the paradigms, when they split, that's how they work. Both of these operate the same way, just with different ideas, negative and positive. All right? Two different worlds operating the same way, just reverse polarities. But when you got a motherfucker that come in and he ain't doing neither one of those, and he like, nah, let's stand in the center and let's look at all of it. All right? I'm going to ask you these questions. I just want to see what you're going to give me the answers to. How are you going to answer these questions? All right? And they can't do it. So what they should not have done was come out as if the flat earth was this new revolutionized science that was going to wake everybody up, and you didn't have anything to present. You only leaned on scientists who came before you that actually was saying that this bitch was not flat. Are you with me? Okay, so again, how do we go back to the Stone Ages? I don't damn know. I don't know. But I know one makes more sense than the other, okay? And until people are able to present the answers to what I'm asking, I'm still going to question where this shit even come from. And again, I blame that nigga Bob. B.O.B. did this shit. And niggas ain't let it go. Remember he was raising $2 million? Somehow he gonna go and prove it? Remember that? Did him go prove it? But no, he raised $2 million. Well, he ain't raised all the $2 million. But he raised some money. He ain't never gonna try to prove the shit. Right? So if this has not been presented to you in any way, shape, form, or fashion as something that you can go and replicate and say, this is what this plane is, not some experiment within the plane. This is what this plane is. Why do y'all lean on it so wholeheartedly and fight? And that go for the globe earthers too. Your ass ain't been out there. Neither one of y'all been out there. Y'all steady fighting, arguing, whole YouTube debates and everything. Okay, but again, if you had to choose the one that makes more sense. What else you got?
Yeah. Hey, how do they explain the equator?
How do I explain the equator?
Like, how do they explain? Like I'm talking about like the flat earthers. Like if you could break down like the equator, the equator automatically eliminates the flat earth theory. It automatically eliminates that ice wall theory.
No, all they're gonna say is that's the path of the sun.
That's the path of the sun.
All they're gonna say is that's the path that the sun takes. Listen, I'm telling you, all they do is look at one science and just bring it over here to flat earth. Say the same thing, but just draw it a different way to be flat earth. They say, no, the sun moves around that pathway, so it stays warmer right there. You know what I'm saying? Everybody else don't get the sun. But for some reason, everybody gets the sun. But only it's the path of the equator. They say it's a small sun within the earth plane. Then how the fuck everybody get it?
Good.
How do everybody get the sun? Then why is there such thing as the midnight, midnight sun? Why does that happen? Why does that take place? Why do certain places have sun in 6 months?
Right.
You understand? If this is not some type of plane that is facing a specific direction, okay, as far as its axis is concerned, that is warped, all right? So that when it rotates, as it moves around this sun, all right, there are certain places that receive more of that sun as it travels. Why do we have seasons if the sun is just some shit that's inside the Earth's atmosphere moving around? Why do we have seasons? You know what I'm saying? Do the sun heat up sometimes and then get colder? Another thing, why are we able to observe lunar eclipses? And why during those lunar eclipses or any of these eclipses are we observing spherical or circular images? Are you with me? Because if you're going to tell me that the earth has a shadow that is casted on the moon as a circle because that circle is a flat plane, then how the hell is that moon far enough to get a whole shadow casted on it, all right, and still be within the firmament or in the dome, on the dome? It does not make sense. Here go your dome. The moon supposed to be in this bitch, sitting right there in the center. They go to the moon right there. One point at. They go to the moon, right? If the moon is right there sitting inside of the dome, how the fuck does this flat plane that's right here cast a shadow on the moon at all that's supposed to be a circle when the only way that would have been possible is if this moon was out here some damn where floating around in space, okay? And because that moon was floating around in space, as it passed between the sun, all right, the earth was able to cast a shadow. Or as the earth passed in the middle of the sun, the earth was able to cast a shadow. It cannot cast a shadow on a moon that's circular at all, which saying that what? There's the edge being shown on the moon. The edge of the earth can't be shown on the moon if the moon is trapped within the moon's the Earth's atmosphere. Do y'all get what I'm saying? Now, is the moon in the Earth's atmosphere? Yes. Now, the scientists go further with that the atmosphere is much broader than what people thought it was, but it's not trapped up under some dome and can't fucking move. You understand? Or you would never have lunar eclipses. That does not make sense. Are you with me? So again, even if you would say, oh, that negates it, that shuts it all down. No, they're going to argue you tooth and nail that that's just the path that the sun takes. And for some reason, the sun heats up at certain times and get colder at other times. You know what I mean? It only makes sense, all right, on the global earth. That's all I can say. Unless you can present another fucking shape. I don't care if you say oblong spheroid, whatever you want to fucking call it, okay? It still only makes sense if that sun is not sitting inside the earth. Are you with me? Unless you're going to tell me it's multiple suns. And don't get me started on that because the motherfuckers they will be like, oh, he gave us a point. That's it. We know. Hey. Damn, we ain't think of that.
Some people ask, could you go in a little bit on a little bit farther on that Admiral Byrd thing? With Shambella. Like with Shambella and how that because it's like kind of like a donut, if you want to say. It's kind of like a 800 mile thick, but yeah, it's kind of like a donut after that crash. Yeah.
So they presented that in the movie Godzilla, the newest one they came out with, King Kong versus Godzilla. All right, and another movie called Upside Down. Go watch the movie Upside Down. They were literally speaking about inverse gravity. Okay, how would that take place? Well, this donut that you're speaking about, which would really be the representation of a toroidal plane. All right. Which is saying basically there's a North Pole, all right, and there's a South Pole. This is how your planet literally operates. Whether you think it's a donut to say flat, because that's what people get confused at. Donut or toroidal doesn't mean flat. It could be like this and still be toroidal. You understand? That North plane has, or North Pole has an entrance, and the South Pole has an entrance. And that entrance is charged, okay? Speaking of magnetism here. That's how you have what's referred as your magnetosphere or your magnetosphere, okay? If there were no North or South Pole, you would not have a magnetosphere. So let me say the word slowly. Magnetosphere. You can't make it up. So ask, how does the magnetosphere work on a flat plane? When in order for there to be a pole shift, those poles have to literally shift. And your model that you would lean on for the flat plane says that South Pole is the outskirts of the planet. What does the shift look like? That means that South Pole has to come in like this, and then the North Pole has to expand to be the... Are you serious? All right, if that was scientifically possible, it isn't. Who would be able to survive some shit like that? Okay? No, your North and South Pole shift. Literally, they trade places. And when that takes place, the magnetosphere grows weaker because what was a strong point, firmly set as a strong point, North or South Pole, is weakened for a second. And as that takes place, which they said right now, it's been 780,000 years since the last one took place, and it takes place every 300 to 500,000 years. So scientists are saying, oh, it's long overdue. They supposed to been had a pole shift. Are you with me? Which means it can happen any given second, or it's happening right now, and like it happens in 24 hours. All right? That magnetosphere shifts, and as that magnetosphere weakens in its force, then what you refer to as CMEs are able to come into your planet, all right, and affect more. And the harsh rays of the sun are able to affect life here, all right, and it deplete the ozone layer and all of that, okay? So the point being, when we're dealing with this toroidal field type plane, okay, the entrance into the center of the planet would literally be either the North or the South Pole, okay? So if these people travel into any of those caves or caverns, all right, which are linked to those entrances, first of all, they would have had to be granted access to it anyway, which is what they say in the missing diaries, all right, that he was allowed to come through, that something took over his plane and he was brought into the world, wherever it was at. He saw woolly mammoths and what looked like dinosaurs, all kind of stuff. He saw these UFO-looking planes circling around him, and he had to meet with somebody that was called the Master. Are you with me? Interestingly enough. And he referred to, in one of his aspirations, and it wasn't just him, it was some other brother name I can't call right now, all right? But he was referring to the place as Rainbow City, all right? And Malachi York broke down that the reason why it was being sought as a rainbow was because of the reflection of that inner sun, all right, bouncing off of the atmosphere, creating a rainbow atmosphere in that place. They said, oh, this is beautiful. It looked like a rainbow city. And all they were beholding was an occurrence of light and its reflections. Okay? So as he said, he went into that place, all right? When you go into that place, they say you don't just go into it. Things start changing as soon as you go into it. What you know is up becomes down. What you know is down becomes up. You understand? Which means left becomes right. It's like a whole mirror reality. So go watch King Kong versus Godzilla, and they show you that as soon as they went in, all right, they had a whole reversal, okay? And what was down was up to them, all right? So go watch that Upside Down movie because it explained that the people who were up in that up world were not supposed to be interacting with the people who were in that down world. And they literally will be working around each other with two different worlds because their bodies were interacting with the plane in different ways. All right. Some people's bodies interacted with an up world, which brought them to that particular center of gravity, which was that world that was sitting on top. Other people's bodies brought them to a downward world, which their center of gravity attraction was happening with the world below them. Are you with me? So when they went into these places, they described different types of beings and people and all kind of things that they saw, that some of these things were supposed to be extinct. Go watch the King Kong versus Godzilla movie, and you will see just that they put dinosaurs down there in whatever the center of the earth was. All right. And they needed an anti-gravity vehicle, listen, to travel there. All right. Themselves in that movie. You go watch the movie Journey to the Center of the Earth, and they put dinosaurs in it. You understand? They had all kind of plants in it. What's these dinosaurs keep popping up when you saw in the center of the earth? Because they spoke about different groups of reptilian beings or reptilian humanoids, reptoids, that were able to avoid certain disasters by entering into what was referred to as the caves. So if Richard Byrd said he went through a cave, all right, or these people said they were journeying in a boat and went through a cave, all right, if these people say they went through a cave and they had to end up in a whole other world to avoid the disaster, all right, then that means that Shambhala and Argonath is being represented in those stories as the inner caverns of your planet, which the scientists are now coming out and saying it is potentially hollow. You understand? And that what they thought was just some set in stone core is actually in motion and it's reversing its rotation and all kind. That's a sun. Because if you don't know, the sun rotates and has pole shifts. And it rotates at different angles and different times. The center is rotating another way. The top is rotating a different direction. And this one is going that way at different speeds. Go look into it. And you have a solar pole reversal. All right? So the same way you have poles on this planet, All right, you have poles on whatever that planet or plane is. You understand? So when you hear about the destruction that took place in the book of Genesis chapter 6, he said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth. Are you with me? Why would they say the face of the earth? Because there are other worlds. There's a world beneath the waters, all right, which they speak about where the serpent and his seed live, okay, which can speak, and they have technology like they put in the movie Abyss. And then there's a world in the caverns, okay, or in the caves that lead to all these other different realities. At least this is what has been taught or written over time.
Right. Hey, I got another one for you. Hey, the pole shift, based on my data and research, I don't think the pole shift is gonna happen. Even based on the Injil, based on the Genesis, and based on them putting the bow up there to prevent it, and based on what Zachariah Stitching and Bible said about all the stuff I put it together, that when Tahuti put those pyramids up, that helped prevent it, and then that crystal city being over that hole, I think it had some kind of connection with keeping the planet from flipping, because they did say they was gonna promise not to do that part again. Next time they were gonna send the great balls of fire instead of doing it with the flip. So I think that Tahuti them prevented it with them weights, with them, and everything that lines up with that. Even with NGL, it don't mention of the pole shift. It mention of plates shifting, like earthquake. It mentioned of volcanoes, meteorites. But I think they allude to the fact that they don't want that to happen no more, because they were real sad about that. Now everybody, they was sad about everybody was sad about letting that happen. Enlil was the one nigga that waited to the last minute to tell everybody, because he knew that it was gonna happen. But they stepped in after the pole shift happened and niggas got wiped out. Noah and all them survived with no fish too. But they came down, and the first thing they did, they said that a nigga Zeta said that we gotta stop. We can't let this happen no more. So he took and stuff, because the earth was wobbling. So they took and put weights, heavy ass weights, all over you. You call them pyramids. Just like you go get your tire balanced. When the tire's spinning, they put weights in certain locations to keep it from wobbling when they get to a certain speed, right? So that's what niggas Zeta did. They went and put these pyramids. They can't even move that shit right now with the shit they got. They can't even move that. The 300-ton stones. That shit is like heavy. That's a lot of fucking weight.
Even if they could move it, they'd be stupid.
That's right. That's right. It'll throw the planet by balance off on the 23.6. I guess that's back up my next question. Now the pyramids in reference to flat Earth. Now with all that weight on a flat Earth being put in certain locations, wouldn't that fucking throw the shit off? It's like you got 10 million tons all in this one area. You know what I'm saying? Wouldn't that play a part in? Go ahead.
First off, that was a major point that you brought forth about what they did with the pyramids and everything. All that makes sense. That was major. Secondly, you would still have to say, if weight can affect this plane, it's not fixed. It's not set in stone that it's sitting right here and nothing can move it. Right? So they brought that up in the biblical scriptures and said, oh, God said he built it up on a firm, the earth was built on something firm and it couldn't be moved and all kind of stuff. This is how the pyramids were laid out. They speak about the four corners of the earth. The pyramid had four corners. You understand? And they may not have understood that science. But looking at the pyramid from an eagle eye view, you will see the square. Circle doesn't have corners. You understand? So when you say four corners of the earth, or four corners of that landmass, or four corners of that mass, what are you really saying? When a circle doesn't have any type of corners, it has curves. You with me? So again, if those weights could affect the plane, it has to be sitting within something to be affected by it. If it's an infinite plane that can't be moved, touched, or anything, and everything is set with a particular ordinance, all right, and there's nothing that could change that, then nothing that you could add on to the planet or take away from the planet, you wouldn't be able to take away from the planet, would either alter it, change it, nothing. It would still be the same way. You with me? So even to say that anything can alter, why is it being recorded now that the days are shorter? All right? Is the sun speeding up in its rotation around the planet or around the flat plane? Okay? What's happening with the moon? Why does it appear to be further and further away every year? Why is that happening? Or why is the sun closer in certain places and further away in others? Why do you walk outside, you see a big-ass sun? Should take up a third of the sky. But over here in Atlanta, we got to look through a telescope to see the bitch. How does it happen? Why does it happen? Are you with me? Why do we have time zones? How do time zones work on a flat plane? You understand what I'm saying to you? And you can't tell me time zones don't exist when right now it's 7 o'clock to some of y'all. It's 10 o'clock. That's almost 10:30. Why do you have an Eastern Standard Time, a Central Time, Pacific Time, all these other time? What do you mean? Time is time. Especially on a flat plane. Unless time appears to be warping. Are you with me? So how do time zones work on a flat plane? All this had to be factored in. You get what I'm saying? So my point is, if there was anything that could affect the plane itself, it has to be affectable, which means it's not fixed. Okay? So their issue is they think that this is supposed to be something that's infinite. It just keeps going on and on and on and on, and you have the right to think that. Okay? The same way I can't tell you you're wrong. My thing is, when you say that it is, oh, this is an infinite Earth. Why is the Earth infinite and not the sun? Why is the Earth infinite and not Jupiter, Saturn, and the rest of these stars? And what? Why is this the only plane that's infinite? What you're standing on? Okay, if this is an infinite plane, how do you say in the beginning when infinity says there is no beginning? If God created the Earth, that means you just took away its infinity. If God formed the land, then you just took away its infinity. So the key thing is you have to literally look into what people are saying. And you'll know they don't know what they're talking about. Ask them, show me yourself that you went out there and came back with the evidence saying that it's a flat plane or that you were able to. And they can't. So to argue with flat earthers at all, or to argue with globe earthers, or people who believe in the shape of the earth, it is a waste of time. Only reason why you will see me do any of the conversation is to show people that it's a waste of time. You feel what I'm saying? Because they can't answer my questions. Y'all like to answer the easy questions. Answer Phase One when he asks certain things. Answer me. Because I'm going to ask you stuff that I know you don't know the answer to. Why would I do that? Because if you know you don't know the answer to them, I know you don't know the answer to them. All right, then why is this something that you're standing on like it's set in concrete? You with me? What else you got for me? And we can take questions from the audience too. I know they probably got some questions too.
What you say? What you say? Oh yeah. So yeah. Okay, this is the next one, man. Okay, yeah. So now, being that we know the Earth is round, well, some people say it's flat. Like I say, it's flat to an ant. An ant, yeah, I'm sure, because my backyard is the Earth to the ant. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's dealing with small guys versus giant guys. You know, but my point is, what does this? Because it got to be somebody that's extraterrestrial who putting this out that want us to stay dumb or stay in some kind of paradigm. And so what does it do if we go on believing that the world is flat? If we say, okay, if I say, all right, fuck it, the world is flat, what does that do for us?
It allows for a new market. Firstly, people are making money off of this. It allows for a new market. If you don't believe me, go look up flat earth shirts. If you don't believe me, go look up flat earth stores, nigga. If you don't believe me, go look up flat earth coffee mugs. Are you with me? Flat earth shoes, flat earth movies. Flat earth is another market. Okay? Some people got millions of followers, right? And there's supposed to be these messiahs and information that's saying, I'm gonna teach you the truth. You know what I mean? Until somebody like me say, yo, that's bullshit. You know you don't even know the truth to teach them. You feel what I'm saying? So firstly, you have to start with the market, which is a part of the stranger's secret. Because there's always going to be some type of marketing. What we're doing right now is marketing. And we wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't marketing. That's why I say, I don't understand how people say Faise is clout chasing like it's supposed to be news. The goal is clout. It has to be. The goal has to be attention. If you're a worker, you need the attention the same way the rest of these people know they need attention, or they wouldn't have celebrities. They wouldn't have presidents. They wouldn't have chiefs. They wouldn't have governors. All that takes attention. And what you think is just attention, you're missing the key word there, tension, which is dealing with energy, all right, and some type of force. So it takes that. We're marketing right now. We people say death to flat earth, and people say shows that what they gonna talk about today? You know what I'm saying? You say 19 keys exposed, or 1,019 keys fan shows that they waiting on you to say some bullshit. They don't know why they're here. The thing is, truth cuts past all that bullshit. All right? It's a marketing strategy. It's a marketing ploy. People have made millions off of flat earth theory. The same way people have made millions off of globe earth theory. You understand? Listen, if I wanted to come out here and just align with a community that was going to support me, I could do the whole flat earth shit backwards and forth because I know all they talking points, all the shit. I could have come up with a flat earth book and said, I'm going to be the truth. I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to expose the lies. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to trick us. NASA means deceit. The same shit. I would have won. You know what I mean? And I would have went up against real mathematicians and scientists and just convinced people who were listening to real mathematicians and scientists break these things down, that these people, one nigga from the suburbs over here, one nigga live in Beverly Hills, one person stayed in Atlanta, he just went to college to do this shit. I will convince all the people that these motherfuckers is devil worshipers who work with the elite cabal that just want to confuse everybody and deceive you into thinking it's a globe, so that your brain that walks outside, you don't need NASA to tell you that. You go outside and you find out that the world is flat by looking at the world. I would have won. And people would have put me up on the pedestal and say, yo, you, Bro Sanchez, and the rest of these people, y'all are the ones that we need because you taught us the truth. Listen, y'all, it's bullshit. They don't know. Simple. So what's the benefit? Confusion. They've been doing the same thing. What they say? We're going to go down there and confound their tongues so they don't understand each other. Y'all arguing and nobody going to be like, wait a minute, hold on. What are we fighting about? I don't know. You don't know. We're teammates. We're twins. We don't know shit about what we're talking about, but we're going to argue it. That's how they do it. That's how you split a paradigm. They didn't just do it with flat earth. They did it with the facts. I almost did it. I forgot where I was at. You know what I'm saying? They did it with the situation. You know what I mean? I almost went there. Yeah, some people say you do this, you die. Some people say you don't die. Some people say you don't come around me if you didn't do it. And some people say if you did do it, don't come around me. You know what I mean? Everybody was scared to be around here. Niggas talking about proteins jumping off each other and jumping to the, you know what I mean? Motherfuckers say, I don't want you to get me sick. Listen, they split you in half. People who fear this reality and people who fear that reality. Nobody wants to be hurt. Nobody wants to stub their toe. So because nobody wants to stub their toe, i.e. nobody wants to be deceived, i.e. nobody wants to find out they've been fooled, people will accept the reality that this is just supporting their own beliefs. Confirmation bias, conviction bias, especially with flat earthers, conviction bias, right? Groupthink. You feel what I'm saying? That's what people need. So because their need of that, or what they feel is their need of that, it ain't nothing for the elite to throw a curveball. No pun intended. Or a flat ball. You know what I mean? For people to be confused. And now we still going, but listen, I'm telling you, this year, more sense is going to start kicking in for people. They be like, yo, we worried about the wrong things. We got too many things gonna happen, and whether the shit is flat, globular, circular, squarular, whatever the fuck the shit is, we got a lot of stuff happening on this planet that if we don't wake up and pay attention to the events taking place in the plane, all right, it ain't gonna matter the shape of it. We ain't gonna be in good shape. You feel me? We gotta catch the real shit. What else you got?
Hey, we'll take some questions from the audience.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, what y'all got for? I know y'all flat earthers in here. Some of them took off running, Faze. They got up out of here, man. They like, oh yeah, we can't deal with this guy. He too rough around the edges. Yeah, he got some heavy duty shit that he too direct. So they don't like that motherfucker that's direct. They like you don't when they come at you, when the flat earthers come at you, they like you to be almost kind of like have a third grade education. Because if you got more than that, they can't fight with the science. They just get tired of arguing with you.
Yep.
And they saying that, but this is another thing too, Faze. People was complaining about it. They say, oh yeah, well, when Faze said that that all these dimensions is they don't exist, right? And people saying that, Young, you say that there's 9 dimensions, right? And the master teacher taught about it too, right? About the different dimensions. He called them the planes of reality, the divine plane of truth, the realm of Malakut. So he got different names depending on what school he went to. But Faze is right about what he's saying. See, niggas ain't figured it out, Faze. Yeah, that is 9 dimensions, but those dimensions are 1. There's no number but 1 when you get down to it. That's how Faze told you what he said. He said that all this shit exists in the same reality. That he just saying there's no number but 1. That all these dimensions are 1 in reality.
All I'm saying, all of y'all, prove me wrong.
Yeah.
Prove me wrong.
Yeah. Exactly.
Here's how you can prove me wrong.
I know you're right.
I'll give you one way you can prove me wrong. If I'm full of shit, describe the 4th dimension.
What?
That's all.
I can just. Hey, the 4th dimension is volume, but it exists right here in the in your reality.
That's right. That's not 4th dimension. Describe the 4th dimension.
Yeah.
And while you're trying to figure that one out, describe the 5th dimension. And while you're at it, you got niggas call themselves beyond 5D and ain't got past the 2nd dimension. You understand? Figure it out for me. Describe, if you beyond 5D, tell me what 5D is. Yeah. And watch them niggas tell you what heaven is. Yeah. Oh, it's just, we're we're ascending. Yeah. We're just accelerated and higher consciousness and, we're our higher selves. And it's just like, it's just so good and everything is great. It's like, yo, bro, that's what the fuck the 5th dimension is? What is describe the 4th dimension? If your ass can describe the 4th dimension, that ain't the 4th dimension. Because anything you can describe, you can fathom in the 3rd dimensional being.
Right.
So if there are more dimensions than the 3rd dimension, all I'm asking you to do is describe them.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. What dimension do you, when you astro travel, what dimension is this? Is that still 3rd dimension?
It's still 3rd dimension. Okay. Look, person, place, thing.
Yeah.
I'm a person in my ass.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Look, everything that you saying, I understand it because I know that there's no number but 1. But people, I'm talking about for the people, because all this exists as one. Like I can go into a height, width, length, and then say that the 4th dimension is. They said there was time and space, but there's really no such thing in space. It's really the once you get the height, width, and length. It's
they gotta say it the right way. Time and space would have to be 1-dimensional.
Yeah.
Or don't use science. Time is 1-dimensional, not 4th dimensional. It operates within and around a 3rd dimensional plane. That's what makes you think that there's a 4D. You understand? So you add 1 plus 3 together, you take it. Oh, it's a 4D. But then you have to explain to me again, if we can experience space and time in the 3rd dimensional plane, if today is this day and the next day is that day based off of our own relativity, then explain to me how would that same occurrence take place in the 4th dimensional arena or realm? They cannot do it.
Let me ask you this. So the subconscious plane is the subconscious plane. Well, you can say it's part of all of, I know that it's all 1. You know what I'm saying? Everything is 1. That's so I get what you're saying. Like you can't they trying to separate
the oneness of the universe or the oneness of the all. You see, you at the point, you at the last, you the phase, you that phase, you this phase that come at this time. You see, they want to separate and make everything individually, and like the devil, he divide and conquer, right? So they want to divide the dimensions, but really it's all one dimension. So I understand that. But the people, they was like, oh yeah, young. But what I was breaking down is the different aspects of the all have different aspects. Like the height is one aspect, the width is one aspect, the length is one aspect, and then the volume that fills that space. So like if I was to have a cup, what I termed as the fourth dimension was when this cup would be height, width, and length. And then the water, if I was to put something and fill this space, that space would be the fourth dimensional space. That's what I come up with. But it's all one when you get down to it, just like you said, right? And then the fifth dimension, I termed that, all right, say now that I got that height, width, and length, and I got that cup, that face, space, or time, or whatever they want to call it, filled up, that volume. Then once you begin to put that in motion, energy in motion, so then you create energy. You go into the emotional realm. That's what I termed the fifth dimension. And Baba called it he said it was not Malakut, right? Because Malakut it's like three different parts, planes or whatever, how he broke it down.
That's Sufi cosmology.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sufi cosmology, that's what the Sufis were believing or studying about the cosmos, which is just to say outer space. You understand?
Right, exactly.
However, that space still is third dimensional. That's right. If you can say in heaven there are rivers of honey right on earth. You know what I mean? There's a palace made of silver and jasper. All that shit on earth. The Crystal City. I can find crystals on earth. Heavenly gates, trumpets. Niggas got H&M robes on and all that. This is all that shit down the street. Yeah. My point is, you got to stop it. They got to stop that shit. I'm one of them. I'm not here to claim, try to play like I'm the smartest. I'm here to let you know and remind you that you're not.
Right.
These people are like Moses without the information. Because Moses at least was the most knowledgeable before he met Kadir. Right? So if you haven't gone out to these places and seen these, you don't have no knowledge about what's going on about in this plane or of this plane. You don't know. So then when I'm asking you questions, why would you get offended? That's how you saw how they get offended. They start coming for you. They was offended by you saying it. It becomes more. Go ahead.
Something else to add to that you telling the truth about what you said about what you're saying is that 1, 2, and 3 add up to make 4. And 5 and all the rest of them. You can't have the 5th, 4th without the 1, 2, and 3. Because when you go into your dreams, even though the time frame is a little broader, because 5 minutes there, 5 minutes here is 1 hour there, and then as you go up, it's really frequencies you're dealing with vibrating. It's really just frequencies.
Oh, look, here go the real question, y'all. Look.
Go ahead.
Who can describe the 4th dimension? That's all I'm asking.
The question is, it depends on what your definition of the 4th dimension is. Like you say, but I like the way you think though, Faye. You the end of this shit.
I think you froze.
What can you take anything from anything and put it anywhere and separate anything? It's all one when you get down to it. You know
Look what I'm saying, right? If they can't define or describe the 4th dimension, where that come from?
Right.
Where did that come from? If here's what we really say. Let's get down to the nitty gritty of it. What we're speaking about is physicality.
Okay.
That's what we're speaking about. Physicality. Mm-hmm. Different states of matter that we observe as physicality. Whether it be your visual observation, okay, what you smell, what you touching, what you tasting, whatever, okay, what you hearing, physicality. If you tell me, like somebody told me before, they say, yo, unless you take shrooms, you ain't never experienced a higher realm or a higher reality. I said, look, explain that higher reality to me. Tell me about this high dimension or this most advanced realm that you done got to that nobody else can get to. Nigga said, I saw balls of light. I said, let me stop you right there. I can walk into a Walmart and see balls of light on the ceiling. You know what I'm saying? Now, go ahead, continue. He said, I saw colors everywhere. I can walk into a Walmart, walk down the aisle, and see colors every motherfucking where in the crayon aisle. You feel what I'm saying? All right, continue. I saw beings of light. You know what I'm saying? Look, I can go on Google beings of light. I can draw a being of light. You understand? All you saying is light. They try to say this light word because it seems like, oh, it's ascended. Because it is. Acceleration causes for things to be lit up. So they factor in and say, oh, things are lit up. That makes people think, oh, heaven. Did you ever think that hellfire is lit? You understand? People confuse light to being good. So when they come and tell these experiences, it's like, I saw all this light and all these colors, and it was a fifth dimension. Bro, for you to say that this is an infinite plane, how the fuck are you putting numbers on a dimension? How? It's confusion. That's why we have to break down the simplest of sciences for you to understand what we even speaking about. How in an infinite plane are you going to tell me there's a fourth dimension, like there's a number that you can put on it? And who told you, hey, this is the fourth one? Who came and be like, hey, you were the fourth one? And the issue is when they describe these dimensions, go ahead.
I was going to ask you this part too, because I know what you. I'm with you when you say what you say, right? But now we get into like, okay, some things that they can't see. Is it because just our eyes ain't tuned to a high level frequency? Now, okay, all right, let's make for example, when somebody get murdered in a plot, right? They get murdered, boom, and say it might be months go by, but then the police find out that hey, somebody was murdered here. We got to go check this place. So they'll go there. They might have cleaned up with bleach and everything, right? But then they come in there with some kind of light, like a black light, and then that shit pop up, but you couldn't see it. So is that? I mean, I know it says that it's in this dimension, but why can't we see it if it's, you know, I mean, it's in this dimension because they bring the light, but what makes that light make it show up to where we can't see it? That ultraviolet light, what makes that make it show up, or the black light? What's that? Like the science behind it? Go ahead.
Operating within a separate state of observation. You can't see what somebody's dreaming. When you walk in the room, you don't see their dreams. However, they have technology now that they can project those dreams and see those images. If you can fathom a demon, it don't matter if that demon isn't right there in your realm of observation. If you're able to observe that demon, okay, then it's observable, which means it exists within the observable universe. Observable. You're able to observe it. Are you with me? Now, are you observing it in that moment? No. Listen, there's a car outside. I can observe my car outside. Now, if I want to use my eyes to observe it, I have to travel to that place or that space in this realm to observe it with my eyes right now. However, than that, it's still observable, meaning I'm able to observe it. I'm just not in that location at that point in time. Anybody who's ever been in that place that's trapped between being awake and sleep, okay, they can observe the demon that's right there in that place. But when they come back to being able to utilize their body again, which means they snapped on this physical vessel, and their neurons are able to still flow through their body now, they're making the connections again. Now they can move their hands around and feel from this physical body, as you call it. They can't see that demon anymore. You get what I'm saying? So reason being, it's all about states of observation, which ties to the states of consciousness. Okay? You have different states of consciousness. If you're daydreaming, if you're speaking to somebody and you start daydreaming, you're going to see different images. All right? If you've ever stayed awake beyond what you thought you were supposed to, right? Probably 24 hours or 48 hours or 36 hours, however long you ever stayed awake, okay? You'll start realizing that you will be talking to somebody and you ain't even, you don't feel like it's you talking. You might start hallucinating, is what they call it. Staying awake too long can cause you to hallucinate. Would anybody be able to tell you that you're not seeing what you're seeing? Are you with me? So states of observation. Remember, what we're seeing, this light, is based off of our relativity as well. Because light is moving through space, which means light is moving through time. And time is relative. Okay? That's when you get into general relativity. So if time is relative, then space is also. You're not going to tell me that what I'm observing from where I'm standing is the same exact thing that what somebody else is observing 50 feet away from me. but we're both looking at the same reality of the same realm, correct? That's where in my book, I refer to them as around the corner dimensions, ATCDs, around the corner dimensions. If you were able to see, for example, the reason why they think dark matter is a cloaked ship, all right, and they'll present it as just dark matter, is to say that in that moment, they're not able to see that particular object, okay? So if I have, let's say we're in a kitchen and I'm washing dishes and there's a swing set, okay, that's in my yard, and I have my niece or my nephew that's out there swinging on the swing set. Every time they swing forward, I can see them. But when they swing backward, because of the brick wall that's right there in that position, I'm not able to see them, all right? Now, not only can I not see them when they move past that point, I can also not see the being that's pushing them in order for them to move. Are you with me? So what am I saying? Right there from my state of observation, from my point of observation or my point of view, okay, my vision is limited. This is what it's called on your plane, limit of vision. Go look at it, limit of vision. That's why I told you your horizon line is only how far you can see, okay? And if you can only see 3 miles from where you're standing at, that's based off of your position in the plane. So if I need to observe this being that's hidden at this point, which is dark matter composed, right? Then I need to go from where I'm at in the kitchen and go around the corner. And from around that corner, I've shifted not only my location in the atmosphere, all right, or in the earth plane, or in whatever plane I'm operating in, I've changed my location on the grid, which means I've changed my coordinate points, which means I've altered my perception of time in that position, which is why they speak about time travel and space travel in one. Are you with me? Now I can observe not only my niece or nephew as they're swinging forward and backward, I can also observe who's pushing them. Are you with me? So I call them ATCDs, around the corner dimensions. So all we say when we say this dimension is just saying what you're able to observe in that point. So again, who was the one who taught that no matter whether you call it third dimensional or not, you're only able to see 2 dimensions as a human being? You can't see visually. You've never seen 3D. You've only observed the concept of 3D as a human being. It is your visceral awareness that says, or spatial awareness, I can reach forward and backwards in this. Or I can reach over here to my sides, or I know if I close my eyes, it's only a certain amount of feet from here to my door. That's your spatial awareness. That isn't your observation of you saying you can see it, because anything you're looking at, you only see in the face of it. So if you're only seeing the face of all reality, which means that your realm that you exist within, per your observation, is only 2-dimensional with your sight, as visible light is interacting with your retina or your iris, okay, then how are you going to tell me that there's a realm that exists beyond this when you haven't even actually visually perceived or been able to fathom visually 3D? Could you wrap your mind around that? What type of person will be able to look at the image of a basketball and see all of the basketball at one point? Are you looking at the basketball, or are you seeing a circle? Do you see a sphere or a circle when you look at a basketball? You see a circle. It is your awareness of volume, your awareness of depth of field that says, oh, I can go touch this and say, okay, around this sphere, okay, I can say I can account for this volume. But you can't see it. So if your observation stops at what you can see, you already limited. Make sense?
Man, you just broke down. Yeah, you just broke down some of the science of why they got degrees in masonry and why they take it with the blindfold. That and working in a circle, all that ties in to, hey, you don't have a full perspective. You got to get this 720. That's why Bob was talking about the 720, 360. You come in only having 33 degrees or certain, just one, like this vision of that cup. Like I'm looking at this cup, I only got that. I don't got a 3D unless I go all the way around it. So that's you got some heavy stuff. This class is heavy right here. Like this class is heavy. We went to another. We got about 7 minutes. Tell them about the 144K fundraiser, man. Before we get out of here, man, we got about 6 minutes.
Yeah, hey, look, I appreciate. I enjoyed this. I enjoyed putting people on that. Listen, you know that when I ask your questions and you don't have no answer, you can lie to anybody else. You know you don't know what you're talking about. That's my whole thing. I didn't get this far through belief. I got this far by being able to say I don't know. You understand? I got this far by being able to say, look, I don't have that answer. Y'all can't say that. That's how I know you haven't really ascended, because you can't. How you gonna? You have to be tested. You have to be able to show up and prove that you know the answer to these questions. If you haven't been tested, then you haven't been able to see for yourself. You don't know, which means you haven't failed a test before. I failed many tests. Okay? Anybody fail a test, you know it ain't really. It don't feel good. And another thing, literally, I remember being in high school. One of my teachers came and passed me a test that I had taken out, and I had a 26 on it. And I laughed. He said, "What's funny?" I said, "I'm laughing because I know why I failed the test. I didn't study this shit. I'm surprised I got a 26. I winged it." So most people be winging this shit, and I'm asking real questions that you really getting tested about. And not only are you getting upset, you're getting testy. And I see all of it. This is you. I don't gang bang flat earth. I don't understand what my life would be like if I did. There's so much more that's going on in your reality. No one should be able to trigger you by asking you a question about some shit you really know. The only way you would get triggered or feel like you got to fight or there's some hate, niggas say, get this person in here. Y'all call it reinforcements. And I'm asking you a question. I'm not asking them. I'm asking you, not even to provide the math of the parabolic equations or how far this could be seen outward or to speak about the diffraction of light and diffusion of light. I'm not asking about any of that. All I'm saying is, have you been out there? Have you been out there? That's the question. If you didn't know what this was about, have you yourself gone out there? If you haven't, guess what? You don't know what the shape is. So lead with that. You should open up your forums with, first of all, I like to put out a disclaimer. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Now, here's what I believe. Then it changes the conversation. Now niggas can put their swords down. You don't feel like Faise One attacking you. It's like, nigga, I know, I've been out there. Then it's like, that's a delusion. You got to live with your damn self. When as an astral projector, I've gone out there and I saw a globe. Would I bring that to the table and say, this is facts? No, it'd be a waste of time. I'm an astral projector. Then they get into the science. People say the astral projector don't even. Anyway, the point is, right? If you haven't seen something for yourself or observed or experienced something for yourself, then all you have is conjecture. All you have is belief, and that's fine. All right? For the people that's been watching and listening on the live and come back to listen and see what I broke down, pay attention and see that that's the basics of the conversation. Say, they don't know what they're talking about, y'all. It ain't even no reason to keep arguing this shit. They don't know. If you try to ask them what they do, they get upset or they call their friends up and be like, come fight him. Nobody want to answer the real questions. Nobody in the comments answered, how did the firmament get formed? You understand? Nobody in the comments were able to answer any of the questions that I was asking about the atmosphere as opposed to the firmament, about how did you say that this plane is infinite if you can't measure infinity? You understand? About how would you be able to even get an image of the dome or the planet if you can't get outside the dome? You understand? They can answer none of this stuff. So the bottom line is, with the 144,000 fundraiser, all right, because I enjoy these talks, I enjoy these builds, and I enjoy listening back to them. You understand? And I keep it up in light. We're doing a $144,000 fundraiser. It's going to end in April. It's basically raising funds to put behind not only just the music, but all kind of other productions and things we're going to be putting out for the year 2024. Just to encourage more people to do what we're doing right now, which is using our brain, okay? It's not unlawful yet. And for people to get active in their own communities and do what they can do about things that are really going on in their life. So as a celebrity, which is what I'm working toward becoming more of, all right? Because I remember one of my brothers, my godfather, said in 2018, he said, Omari, he said, you a celebrity. He said, you better appreciate these days where you can just go to the grocery store and nobody knows who you are, right? Now, I heard him, and he was the same one who brought me the Art of War book, and I heard what he was saying. It made sense to me. It was not till recently that it's like he was putting me on to a prophecy, because now I really do have to, while I go to people recognize me in the public. You know what I'm saying? So the point is, they didn't expect somebody, or it wasn't expected that somebody who came from right knowledge was able to push past all of the conscious community boxing in that people was doing. You know what I'm saying? When you got to be a corny, lyrical, spiritual, miracle ass nigga to say that you woke. No, they didn't expect nobody to get past that to the point where now it's like, what box can you put Faise One in? What box could you put him in? You can't put him in a box. which means that he's not boxed in, which means that he's able to be that person with that rod of iron to reach many nations at a time. And if he can do that, then he will be able to, listen close and pay attention because it's going to mean something, electrify and unify a black nationalist movement. You understand? He will be able to bring not black nationalism. Listen to what I'm saying, because you think black, you think melanin dominant people, and that's an error. No, black meant dead. Black meant you didn't know what was going on. Black meant you were left out of the loop. Black meant something was hidden from you. Nationalism meant something was being brought to the light, being brought to the life, resurrected, brought back toward the truth so people could see it. You understand? So black nationalism, what did they say in the COINTEL Pro or Counterintelligence Project or program? What did they say? Electrify, electrify. That's what you do with an iron rod. Are you with me? And unify. That's what a conductor does. They unify. They bring everybody together. They elect people, select people, and say, let's come together. Go read Revelation chapter 2 and go read Revelation chapter 14, and it'll make all the sense in the world to you, what I'm saying and what I'm doing. So why would I say let's raise 144,000? What is the meaning of that? All right. Anytime we come on here, you should help me. Yeah, you should. Okay. Anytime I say, hey, look, we do the books. Okay, you should help me. Yeah, you should. Why? Because you can. All right. And the opposition ain't gonna help me. Well, that don't make sense. Why would they help me? I'm telling you right now, you will never see Phase One get no deal from no music industry label. It doesn't exist that way. They can't help me. You understand? Somebody come and say they here to burn your house down. You can be like, I'm gonna go get the matches. Think about what I just said. Somebody that already put out on record, they here to burn your house down. You like, I got you right now. I got some matches in this motherfucker. I knew I got some lighters. I was waiting on you to show up. No. You know what I'm saying? So this is just about y'all helping me with that financially. And it ain't even just finances. You can also support in other ways. You can share my posts when I post them. You can listen to the music, stream the music. You can put people on to the music. We're just gunning for celebrity status, all right? Don't underestimate the power of an artist. You may not have seen it yet, but just don't underestimate it. When an artist can get to that point, there's so many things that we can change just because we say change it, which means you're going to have to allow for space for, and I don't want this, this is what it's going to be. You got to allow for space for me to be the star. You got to allow space for that. Ain't like you can, motherfucker can't stop the shit no way. But you got to allow space for him to be the star. You got to allow space for people to be like, oh, we fans of him. You got to allow space for that so that he can get, it's not what it's about. But you got to let that shit happen and you got to help it happen so that whatever it is that these other motherfuckers can do and have access to power-wise that make worlds move because they say so, we need it to be on the other flip side of the script where that motion is being put in place isn't destructive. It's constructive or prostructive. You with me? We need people to be encouraged to do things that bring life to the planet, not bring death to the planet. All right, so then what? Listen, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to open the door for you. So why wouldn't you help me? I'm well equipped. I open the door for you. I hold it. I'm letting all kind of people through. If you didn't know, now you know. Right now is a time for any of you conscious artists to step forth. This is your time to shine. For a long time, people was not trying to hear that shit, especially that lyrical, miracle, spiritual shit. But let me tell you something. Now you have a platform. Now Phase One opened the door for you where he was able to put lingo into the shit. So now with that lingo and that suave, he was able to get the masses to be like, we approve this sound. I'm telling you, now is the time to bring out them old, go dust that mic off, bring out that old shit you had, that old styles. Remember, you stopped rapping about real shit and you tried to make trendy music. Then at the time, niggas who tried to make trendy music, they forgot how to rap. It was all kind of sad shit took place because you were trying to integrate into a system that wasn't supposed to be integrated into. You feel what I'm saying? I'm telling you now, all the real shit you thought you was spitting, bring that shit forward. I opened the door for you. Real shit is in now. If you make a song right now speaking about some real shit, they gonna stream your shit. All right? If I'm making it up, why Offset just came out and confirmed it? Offset just came out and said, if you ain't making some shit with content, people ain't trying to hear it now. They losing the power they used to have when you could just make a song about some fucking chains and some shit, some change in your pocket and the motherfucking car you pulled up to the studio in. Nobody cares anymore. You understand? So again, help me because I'm opening that door. All right. Other than that, it's like we're going to keep going. I appreciate everybody who does stand with me. I would say if you've been on here Send something. You can send $1, send $5, send $100, send $1,000, send 5,000, send 10,000. Ain't no telling who on here. Help me. And then see what I do. And if you need to see what I've done, it's everywhere. Go look me up. See what I've been on. TED Talks, all kind of stuff. I haven't swayed. All right? Other than that, I love y'all. You can get the books. You can send a donation to Play for Change Cash Out with your email, and you get the books. It's 10 books. What you got for me? I appreciate you, young elder, bro.
Yo, I appreciate you too. Hey, we're going to come back on that next one on Life is Like a Video Game on the dimension thing, because I got some more questions on that, because I can see where both of us could be right. Well, there is different dimensions, but they are one dimension. You know what I'm saying? Because to me, if you can't see it, then because height, width, and length, I can see height. I can see width and length. But in our dreams, I can see height, width, and length too. You know what I'm saying? Because it might have a building, it might have people. You know, we're gonna have to come back on that next one. Life is like a video game. We'll go ahead with it. Yeah, we'll touch on this dimension thing. All right, so yeah, that's gonna be the next one, man. We'll do that on Wednesday, man. We'll be back on Wednesday with that one. Today, Monday, Wednesday, yeah. All right, hey y'all. Assalamu alaikum, shalom alaikum. Peace be unto you. Hotel to all my Egyptian guys. Yeah. Hey, man, we thank y'all for tuning in. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button. We'll be back with another banger. Trust and believe. And as always, never have it been made so clear.